to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM's LCS team. And I just gotta ask, did you guys miss me? Been gone, for what would normally be 2 episodes. As a reminder, I was unfortunately in Florida, fortunately and unfortunately. Just because Florida's like, an epicenter of COVID right now. We tried to be as safe as possible. I was wearing my mask the whole time. Luckily, I am also vaccinated, so that's definitely a positive. But I'm back. I'm back, and it was quite the good week to be on vacation, if you ask me, because of the fact that, I am, we didn't play. Thank you, TSM, for being first and or second place. Obviously first, but, helped a lot to make it so I didn't have to miss any shows. So I should be back for most of the rest of the year. I don't know if you all saw the LCS finals got moved back to LA. And I don't think there will be fans and probably not press. Unfortunately, I will try to bring you guys some content from the finals weekend, because I will be in attendance online. But unfortunately, I will not be seeing any of you in New Jersey as I had hoped. But, we should still... I will still likely be doing 2 episodes as long as we continue on. If we do lose out, then I'll probably go back to 1 a week. So, yeah, I guess for that, the minimum I can say is that I'll be doing 2 episodes a week for at least the next 2 weeks, most likely. Mostly just because, our boys are going to be playing. Guaranteed at least 2 more series. So we've got a lot to get into. There was the TL and C9's first series. I will state again that I did prefer Cloud9 in this series, but that was not the way it went. If you have not watched the series, sorry, spoiler alert, TL 3-1'd Cloud9 in what was quite the stomp outside of Game 3. The first 2 games specifically were both done right around 30 minutes or a little less. I believe Game 4 was even faster than... Or no, it was not faster than that one. Game 4 was still it was the closest game of the 3, in all reality. Or of the 4, excuse me. And then TL did drop a game to C9 in Game 3, which, showed what C9 could be, but the fact that they can only show that 1 out of 4 games tells me that, they are about to not have a very good time down in the lower bracket, if you ask me, because there's some teams waiting down there for them for that shot, and the first one is going to be Golden Guardians, and you better bet that Licorice and a Blaze Olive are going to be coming out ready to roll. I guess I'll do very quick predictions before we get into our series, because EG also beat Dignitas 3-1. Kind of surprised they dropped a game. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch those games yet. I figured EG would win, but I didn't think they'd drop a game, so we'll have to see on that one. But again, it was TL 3-1 over C9, EG 3-1 over Dignitas. Immortals will play Dignitas, and the winner of that game, I believe, will go on to play the winner or the loser of TSM TL. I believe that is the case. And then Golden Guardians, like I said, will play C9. Winner of that game will go on to play, again, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe it will end up being 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses. Don't quote me on that. Or loser of that game, excuse me. Don't quote me on that. It could be flip-flopped. I'm just looking at the Leaguepedia bracket right now, and that seems to be the way it is going currently. It would make more sense if Immortals Dignitas ended up... Well, no, it would make sense, because then it's still likely going to be the lower seed. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Either way. Here's what I'm thinking. I do think it's going to be a slobber knocker for Immortals and Dignitas. I see Immortals figuring out a win 3-2. I could easily see it flip-flopping the other way. I would say this one is truly a coin flip. But I think Immortals just has more experience on the team. And I generally think they're just a better team. So, yeah. I'm going to predict IMT to come out on top of that one, 3-2. And then Golden Guardians C9. As much as I would love to see Golden Guardians pull it out, I do think it's going to be a 3-1 C9. I do think Golden Guardians take a game, though. I wouldn't be surprised there at all. Which then leads me to 100 Thieves and EG. And boy, oh boy, is that going to be a series. Because similar to us, the winner of that game goes to Worlds. The winner of that series will lock in a spot at Worlds. So, really cool, honestly, for both of those franchises. 100 Thieves last time they were there, it didn't go so swell. It was not very good. And I don't know that EG have ever been, even like old EG. Obviously, new EG have not been. But I want to say old EG didn't go either. To Worlds. So, that team looks pretty primed and ready to roll. Again, they did drop a game to Dignitas, but 100 Thieves, like they've needed these 2 weeks to kind of figure out what's been going on with them. It seems like their lock on the meta has not been there. If they understand the meta, if their drafts and the way that their play style ends up being better, I could see them pulling it out. But I'm gonna go honestly EG 3-1. I just think that team's solid. I think they are playing with a fire right now, and a desire. I mean, Jizuke basically called deftly like the weak arm of the team, like basically just kind of like he was there, and that is hilarious, to be completely honest with you. Mostly not because of Deathly. Like, Deathly was fine. He is very decidedly average when it comes in terms of the LCS. But, yeah, I'm a little surprised with that one, to be honest with you. A little surprised. But either way, that's my prediction. I think EG move on to the semifinals. Where they will have already locked up a spot for Worlds by dropping 100 Thieves down to face Cloud9. Craziness. Absolute absurdity. Yeah. But to the topic at hand, to the things that matter most to us. Oh, and by the way, I do want to say, as a reminder, we do have 4 days of games starting today. Immortals will play Dignitas tonight. Golden Guardians will play Cloud9 on Friday. Saturday will be 100 Thieves and EG, and then we get to play Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, Tsm TL. I want to start with my matchup to watch here. So, first off, I really think that it's going to be important and very interesting as well to watch Santorin V Spika. Mainly because of the fact that Santorin coming back has had such a major impact on this team. And so I want to see, what he does when he goes up against Spika, who's been arguably the best jungler in the LCS. He was voted first team, by the way. And I'll go through those awards, I guess, at some point. Probably in the offseason, you guys will have to remind me, especially my friends over at the Talking TSM Discord, which you should totally join if you can. Feel free to reach out. We'll give you a link. But, yeah, I mean, I also think Spika's going to end up winning MVP. I personally voted for Spika. I'm not allowed to give what TGH voted. I know it shows up as me on the ballot, but for those of you who are listening and do not know, what we do here at TGH is we take a collective ballot where we take the opinions of the writers who've been writing and watching the LCS all season. We basically I have them rank their top three. They rank their top three, and then I take the scores of those, and we make a collective ballot. So I can tell you that was not my ballot. I can go over that another time. Otherwise, this is going to be like a 2-hour-long episode because awards and there's a whole lot of other things to go over. But that's for the off season, in my opinion. That's something that we'll do then. So, but do know that I did vote personally for Spika to be the MVP of the league. I think he earned it in the last week. He was a little teetering in week 8, in my opinion, but week 9 he really came on, had that insane carry performance, and also on the Olaf, and then also just played well in general. I think all season, and I do personally truly believe that he is the catalyst for our team, which is similar to how Santorin has been. Clearly, I mean, TL were not as good. They haven't been as good without Santorin. I mean, they had yet to beat a top tier team in like 5 weeks or something crazy like that. I mean, it had been a while. I think they had maybe beaten EG or 100 Thieves once, but it wasn't. It was not, good, looking good for this team. Even heading in the playoffs, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know about TL." I think I said it on this show. I want to say I did. If not, I'm pretty sure. I definitely predicted TL. Somebody tweeted at me this week asking for my prediction. Shout out to Blake. And I said TL 3-2. I was obviously off by 1 game. And truly the series was not that close. It really probably could have been a 3-0. Outside of TL playing a little weird in Game 3. But, Santorin has already brought out some interesting things, specifically the Sejuani, which we'll get into a little bit later. And I believe that if they're going to win, it's going to be because of him. And similarly, for us, because I don't want to obviously just talk about our opponents the whole time. I truly believe that Spika is, when I say catalyst, I mean that in like the best possible way. It's not that our team can't play without him. We have won some games where he has just totally mentally checked out. But this kid wants to win, and now that it's playoffs, I don't think we're going to see the same Spika where it's like, oh, one bad gank, and I'm going to be all, man, whatever, those noises might be, and shut it down. This is playoffs. I think he's going to come out with a fire. I think he's going to, understand that if he plays his game, that this team's going to be in a better spot. So, yeah, I truly think that that's going to be the matchup to watch, and we're going to see how these junglers really, instigate their lane and allow them to, play the game that they play best. So it's not even going to be necessarily in a carry role for Spika. I want to see how he helps our laners. So keep that in mind as we're going forward. That's our matchup to watch. Now, We're going to head into the TSM advantages and disadvantages. I did this last playoff, so I'm going to start with the disadvantages. I don't know why I didn't write it out that way. I also don't know why I don't think about it until I'm talking already. Maybe it's because it's pretty early. I slept for like nearly 12 hours yesterday. No joke. I went to bed at like 6:30 p.m. I was up for like an hour and a half maybe, and then I went back to sleep until like 6 a.m. So, which is for me very rare. I normally get like maybe somewhere between 5 and 7 hours on a regular basis. So, yeah, I clearly needed the sleep. But, anyways, TSM disadvantages. Yes, we did 5-0 TL in the regular season. I think that's great. It helped us get our spot in playoffs, but I worry that it's going to make us overconfident because, in the games that matter, right? Like that really, really mattered, which are playoffs. We were 3-1 against them in the spring. We did not look very good. It looked like we just kind of forgot how to play, to be completely honest. So, there's two reasons this is a disadvantage. One, I'm slightly worried that we're going to go in overconfident because it's like, oh, we 5-0'd them, and it's like, well, this team's a lot better in playoffs. And then, then there's the part of me that also worries that, oh crap, like we lost to them 3-1, they got playoff buff, right? I don't think our team's mentals are that shaky, especially with Bjergsen at the helm, but there is a slight tinge of worry and a slight tinge of disadvantage when you think about that. Also, a disadvantage is that TL finally have their squad back, and they look comfortable. Like, it just, as we talked about a little bit earlier, like it shows how important Santorin is to this squad, right? And to finally have this team back and to look as comfortable as they did in this series against C9, there's a lot of people who are picking TL to win this now. Seriously, like, I believe the dive had 2 out of 3 members with just Mark Z picking TSM. Kind of surprised that he's been the TSM homer this season, to be honest. I don't think he ever, I don't know if he was like ever a TSM hater necessarily, but I know he's always been very critical of the team. And a lot of people, like, I was watching TSM Legends yesterday because I didn't get to this weekend because I was busy. But, I didn't realize that we hadn't finished in first in a long time. And a lot of people are, talking like, well, TSM just kind of finished first almost by accident kind of a thing, it feels like. And that's just, frankly, I think factually incorrect. I mean, we won 30 games. We probably would have won 31 games if we had actually played Dignitas in a serious manner. So, and we had winning records against basically every single team in the LCS except for Evil Geniuses, and we don't have to face them, in this first round. So I'm not, like, I don't understand where this is coming from, but at the same time, I do think it's a disadvantage because, TL is full of hardened veterans. I mean, not like CLG was veterans. No, I'm talking about like TL is full of like, Alfari, who has been to Worlds, who has, been a top team and a top player in the LEC, was at finals last year, beat us last year. Santorin, who is probably one of the most storied junglers in LCS history, has been an absolute animal basically most of his career. Core JJ, he's won a freaking, World's Championship. Seemingly is almost always unfazed. Tactical looks strong. He even played weak side almost this entire freaking series, by the way, after being, called upon to not do that. And that's going to be something we're going to have to discuss. And then there's Jensen, who, as much crap as I give him on a regular basis, he looked pretty solid, honestly, in the series against C9. I mean, he really did not make Perks have a good time in any of his lanes and made some pretty outstanding plays. I'm hoping that that's the, that's he seems to do it on and off. I'm hoping that he had a great series then, and now he has a terrible series against us. That would be super cool, but we'll have to see. So yeah, I mean, just they look comfortable, guys, and we're gonna have to keep that in check. Also, TL clearly have a read on the meta, and they have a style that they like to play it already, and that's the one disadvantage, in my opinion, about having a full week off. You have to really, how do I put this? Like you have to. The winner of a lot of series is normally the ones that have the advantage on the meta read when teams are actually close in terms of skill. And sure, we've been probably practicing against 100 Thieves all week. I could see us maybe practicing against EG or C9 or IMT or GG or whatever. We could be technically practicing against anyone. I would hope that we were practicing against 100 Thieves because I'm sure they want to make themselves better and we want to make ourselves better. Possibly EG too, but my point is that TL have played on stage. They understand the meta. They understand what they need to probably ban, and for us, it's going to be a little bit of guessing in those first two games, most likely. We'll see if something works. Hopefully, we stick to it. That seems to be kind of our strategy. So we will have to watch out for that. I think it's going to be an advantage for TL. Lastly, they play a similar style to us and looked really good on it against Cloud9. I mean, they dictated the pace of the game. They were the only game that Cloud9 were able to really, decidedly, take over the game and play their style and the way that they wanted to play was in that loss that TL had. And even that game early on was kind of close. So, I'm not really convinced that TL have even shown everything necessarily. I think they've shown a lot, but they, being able to play a similar style as us is an advantage, just in the terms that we're going to have to decide whether or not we're going to stick with our style or if we're going to try to do what C9 did and maybe pull a little something different out. And that's always I think that's always an advantage that TL are going to have, at least in this iteration of the team. With these players, with the mindset that they have through the coaches, through the way TL have played for the last 3 years. They play control. They play, dominant lanes. They play, late game scaling in general. Obviously, the first two games they played more early game style comps, but they still controlled the map. So that's kind of what we like to do. Strong meta, strong macro. And, when two strong macro teams play against each other, it could be very low kill games. So generally that favors us, but, with TL already playing, already showing the style that they want to play with the macro, but it was more of like a fast macro, which was interesting. Normally called early game comps, I understand that, but there's something, I don't know, there's something interesting about the way that they played this past weekend. So it's definitely an advantage for them for right now, but advantages for us. First off, mid lane is pretty open in terms of champions. Jensen is one of the only people who I think generally struggles to adapt to metas more than Power of Evil when there aren't champions that are full on in his wheelhouse. For me, I see a world where Power of Evil, is able to bring out things like the Cassiopeia that we saw, the Rise, the Ari, the Azir. I mean, nobody's really picked Azir and nobody's really banned it. We know how he can play on it when he wants to. Oriana's been played.
a pretty decent amount so far. Not a decent amount, but some, and he has those counters for things like the Silas, for things, like the Lee Sin. Even I would venture to guess Irelia if she got played as well. So, and even Twisted Fate, it's like, okay, they decide to play Twisted Fate. All right, he plays Rise. They decide to play Viego. He plays Cassiopeia. They decide to play Silas. He plays Cassiopeia. They decide to take Rise. He takes Oriana. They try to play Lee Sin. He plays Cassiopeia probably again, most likely. There's a lot where I think that he has learned the counter picks for this season in general. And I think that's going to play a very important role in how we play. Obviously, I don't think we're going to see him on a Lee Sin. I could see him playing a Viego, but I don't know. We'll go into that in Champions to Watch because there's a lot to go over. Another advantage for us is we should be coming in with confidence. I mean, we essentially 3-0'd that last weekend. I don't care what anybody says. I think we were going to beat Dignitas if we actually had to play the game seriously. I would give us a win 9 out of 10 times. That's how confident I am in this team. And, it seems like, even from TSM Legends that we are in a pretty good mindset. Even during practices, they were kind of screwing around a little bit, which is not ideal, but definitely, in my opinion, actually a welcome sign because it just shows that they're, it's been a grind this season, and they talk about that, but they also just generally seem happy to be together. They seem, to be confident. So I like that, and they should be. They just secured first place. And for a lot of those players, it was the first time they'd ever secured first place during the regular season, and was the first time that they're literally one series away from Worlds. For at least Lost, and then for the rest of them, winning one series and getting Worlds. Like, they've mentioned it, I've been saying it since the beginning. That's the goal. And being able to play a series with confidence is, I think, a small buff that people don't really understand, because TL is going to be a little bit more uncertain. Like, sure, they're going to be confident. Yeah, we just won, against TS or against C9, whatever. Like, TSM are like, all right, we 5-0'd these guys. We're going to look back at all of our games, figure out what we did best, kind of see what Santorin did, bringing it back against Cloud9, and then we're going to play our game. We're going to be us. And so, and the meta hasn't shifted enough to the point where TSM should have a true issue, adapting to it. They should be able to play the way that they have against TL almost all season. And we did beat Santorin, I think it was 2 out of 3 games in the summer. A Santorin, or no, I think he was only there for 1. It was Alfari that we beat 2 out of 3 times. So, and then C9 struggled. They haven't been great all season either. So, whatever. TL also, so this is kind of like the double-edged sword to TL playing the series. I said, they know the meta, they are comfortable with their style, but they also showed a lot. They brought out that Sejuani and showed that Jensen can play the Lee Sin now. So, I'm sure they have something else they're cooking up, but we just got to watch 4 games. We could have literally only asked for one more game or something where they struggled a little bit more in one of those games. The game 4 was the closest one. And so we got to see that, hey, they're bringing out some similar strats. They're bringing out some similar picks. They're bringing out a similar mindset about how they want to play the game. And so unless they go back to the drawing board and completely change things up in this week leading up to us, which they could, we're going to have learned a lot about them. That's the major advantage, in my opinion, about not playing for week 1. So you don't have to. Sure, you might be a tiny bit rusty in game 1, but you get to plan. You get to really get a good look, and I bet you money. Bjergsen and Curry were and Kays. They were all sitting there like probably writing notes and really picking apart this game or this series that they played. So I'm sure they came in ready on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day they decided to get back after their day off, and they should be ready to go. Also, frankly, PoE shouldn't int or be nearly as useless as Perks was. I mean, Perks was... I rewatched that series, and Perks was almost invisible or just getting killed and out of position constantly. I don't understand what's happened to him. I do get that he changed roles. He's flip-flopped roles, and maybe he's just a better AD carry now. I don't know. But there's something wrong. He is not playing as well as he should be. And if I'm Jack, I'm like, what is going on with this guy? Because, like, I'm telling you, I was kind of upset. Like, I'm glad that TSM got PoE. I've been a huge PoE advocate for many, many years. I've always thought he is really solid, and I was like, man, if TSM like just really like spent money and got Perks, like, holy crap, this team could be like god tier. Now it's kind of the opposite. PoE makes us god tier. I mean, the amount of times that he has saved this team is shocking almost. And Perks has been has been a liability on C9 at times. So, I don't expect PoE to, just full on int and feed Jensen to the point where Jensen's actually useful. Because truly, if Jensen doesn't get a lead, he's kind of quiet in a lot of games. So I think that's our advantage. With Power of Evil being there, just he's consistent, and consistency doesn't allow for Jensen to get the leads that he rarely gets, but when he does get them, he's able to snowball them. So, yeah. The last thing here, I think this is going to be a major strategy advantage for us, guys. We split push way better than they do. I mean, we are split push machines in comparison. They like to group up, team fight. Sure, Alfari can be out on the side lanes, Jensen occasionally. But that's the thing is, like, we can just have Huni match Alfari all game and have PoE just split push down any lane. And the combination of Spika's Sword Art and Lost, they're used to, kind of just holding down lanes and keeping up and farm. We've gotten really good at it. And I have been waiting for a true split push meta. It doesn't seem like it's coming. That's fine. Whatever. But I'm telling you now, like, we can split push if we need to. And I think that that's going to be very problematic for TL because I don't think we're going to give them GP and allow for them to have cross map, allow for Alfari to be in a different part of the map and still have an impact. I would ban GP. I'll go through this with champions, but I'd ban GP every game. Just don't even let him have it. Make him have to go in and fight. Don't let him just sit there in the side lanes, stack some gold, just kind of be able to, chill out basically, and be able to add that fourth man or that fifth man in a fight without actually being there. And I think we can split push our way to victory, and in at least one of the games, potentially two. I mean, we're really good at it. That's where our macro does differentiate from TL's. They don't split push very much outside of just Alfari. I mean, we're willing to 1-3-1 with anybody. I think it's because we have confidence in Spika's ability to get around the map, Sword Art's ability to get around the map, and Lost's ability to kind of just hold things down. I don't think people give him enough credit. I mean, when we do all these split pushes and these crazy things where Huni's backdooring and all this stuff, like the man having to clear and make sure that he stays alive and can just be that wall, is a lot of times lost because you see Sword Art going out trying to make a play or Spika, to try to catch somebody, on either of the side lanes, and it's Lost who's having to sit there and just make sure that they don't push him all the way in. And I think that it's a really important job and one that's not given enough credit for. So, man, I'm an apologist for this team, and I don't care. But yeah, We just split push better than they do, and I think that could end up being a very important part of this game, of this series. Truly, we head into champions to watch for, and then we'll go into 6 keys of the game, and then I'll go into my prediction. I'll explain why, and then this bad boy will be wrapped up. First one to watch for is Lee Sin. That champion had such an unbelievable impact in that last series. It looked great in the jungle. Jensen made some cool plays on it in the mid lane. He's pretty strong. He's just strong. And it seems like he's going to be played pretty significantly. I would love to see him in the jungle. I would love to see Spika playing him. I know other people are like, oh, his Lee Sin hasn't been very good. Dude, if this kid literally just sits down and plays like 2 days of Lee Sin during scrims, he's going to have it down again, guys. I'm not worried about that. He grew up as a Lee Sin, not one trick, but was able to play it very significantly. I would also be okay seeing it top. I know that in lane is not as great, but I would love to see him play it top, and really bring it out. The other thing, I actually didn't write this down. I didn't think about it till right now, but guys, I know that Nocturne isn't as great right now, but we just use it so well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Huni get at least one game of Nocturne in. Just saying. The other champion that I would be shocked if we let through, if we're going to play it, is Sejuani. The Sejuani passive in this series was, well, not passive, sorry, the E passive. I believe it's the E passive. Was pretty insane. Now, this is something I know for a fact that I brought up. As soon as she got buffed and as soon as we started seeing all these melee champions, I was like, why is Sejuani not getting played more? Santorin brings her out and looks pretty freaking strong on her. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. She's tanky. Getting off her passive can really ruin the day of all these dash champions. And there's just so many, there's so many melee champions that in team fights, she's just an animal. And you don't have to play a mid lane melee to make her useful. As long as top lane and support are melee, you're pretty much good to go. So, yeah, I really think that Sejuani is going to be very vital to this series, and in terms of even if she just takes a ban every time. And I would love to see if TSM have first pick. I would love to see them, take her one time. We know that Spika can play it. We do. He doesn't like to. But Sejuani in Spika's hands, I think, would be very good. So, let's see it happen. Like, if this team decided to do a Lee Sin top, Sejuani jungle, Viego mid with Ziggs bot, which would be awesome, and like a Braum or something like that, boy, oh boy, it would not be fun to beat TL. And they could easily play that comp against us too, by the way. So I really think Sejuani is going to be important. I really, truly believe that. So we'll have to see if they bring it out. But I know TL will. So if they're not, if TSM are like, nah, dude, we are not dealing with this champion, which they normally have one champion, they're just like, nope, then just ban it. Get rid of it. Also, by the way, super secret thing I think TSM could do, they could bring out something like, the Groggy top, tank Gragas, but still enough AP to be semi-useful. Or even, could we see Mordekaiser? Mordekaiser with Sejuani, bro. It's pretty good. And if you need an AP option, it could happen. Just throwing it out there. I'll be honest with you guys. I say this. I don't think that there's any chance that we see it. It would be better. It would be better if we played Sylas. If we were able to do Lee Sin, Sejuani, Sylas, and then a normal AD carry, oh boy, would our team be so much better. But for some reason, PoE doesn't play Sylas at all. So I think that is pretty freaking unlikely, but we'll see. The other one is Gangplank. Ban it. Ban. Get rid of it. Fari's too good on it. I don't care if we do have a nice, counter pick to it. Just get rid of it. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. He can take over full games without even having to be in the fights because his ulti placement is so good. He's able to dominate lanes with it. He's like unkillable. Outside of like once he's like outside of early game, he is like really nearly unkillable on that champion. So I would like to just see us ban it. Unless Huni can bring his out, which we all know he has not done successfully all year long. So he used to be a very good Gangplank, but which I think in that TSM Legends episode a couple weeks ago, where he's like, "Oh man, I used to be so good at this champion, and now I suck at it." and Bjergsen's is yelling at him. He's like, "Yeah, because you haven't practiced it, bro." Like, and it seemed like Huni was kind of like, "I'm not going to," kind of a thing. I think it was Gangplank. So they blur it, they mute it, but I think it's Gangplank. Regardless, but we continue on. Renekton, strong pick, definitely going to get played. Would be shocked if it didn't get played. Pretty much every game. Jhin and Varus, I think, are in there as well. You will see them. Ziggs, Tactical's already shown a willingness to play it. I would love to see Lost on Ziggs. I think the way that our team plays, Ziggs would be an incredible option. He's able to wave clear for days. He's such a great weak side champion. He's able to take down, he's able to really pressure towers when you need him to. He is very strong in this meta, and I don't even care. If we went Ziggs and anything else AP in the mid lane, I really wouldn't care. Like, seriously, I could not express how much I would not care. Because I think that we'd get enough AD out of either Spika or Huni to where it really wouldn't matter. And so I personally would really love to see the Ziggs with Lost. I think it would be excellent. Especially if we're going to try to play through Huni, which I don't necessarily recommend, but, again, I'll go over that a little bit later. But again, Jhin and Varus are clearly the two best picks right now. It's kind of interesting how we've, moved away to a more poke and, utility type AD carry. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ashe either. I think either of them could be good. When it comes to us, and I think these are going to get at least one ban every game, if not both of them getting banned, Olaf and Diana. Spika's just way too good on them. And Olaf seemingly is getting banned almost every game now. He is clearly back and very strong. Diana is also very powerful, especially in Spika's hands. I think we went over this last time, last Monday. But I believe he's 5-1 or 6-0 on her. This split, he looks really good on her, and I would not be surprised at all if they ban this from us. But we all know too that this is the style of TSM, and I don't mean this this is definitely a good thing in my opinion. But TSM will clearly practice like one jungler, first pick it, and just allow Spika to go to town on it. Because I don't think you can really counterpick jungle very much right now. Unless if you're picking something like Lilia or even Kayn, I guess to a certain degree, or Karthus. Or I guess if they brought on a Mumu randomly, that'd be cool. Doubt it will happen. Even Sejuani's a little bit, invadable pretty early on. So yeah, I'd be careful there. But in general, Spika's gonna spam something every single playoff game, every single regular season. He will go in and will spam, 6 straight games of Diana, or 20 straight games of Udyr, or Hecarim or whatever. And it's just like they make sure that in their draft they get the jungler that they want for Spika, and then they allow him to do his thing. I think that's great. So if they're gonna ban Olaf Diana, just make sure that Spika has something ready, preferably the Lee Sin or the Sejuani. He does either of those and they spam the crap out of it. That means they have a good strategy set up and they're ready to roll. So Tom Kench is definitely going to be seen again. I think he's been banned pretty regularly, so I could see him taking up a ban. But if not, I would love to see us take him. I'd actually really like to see Alfari on it because I think that would make him very unimpactful, less impactful, not having impact in game as much. I don't know why, but there's just something that tells me that it wouldn't be the preferred champion for somebody like Alfari, and I think it'd be very good for us. LeBlanc seems to be perma-banned, which is fine. If she's available, I'd love to see us take her. If not, then just let them ban her, whatever. Especially if we have first pick, or if we have priority on when she would be, most available. It seems like she might be first pick or perma-banned. Let me check this. I'm almost certain she's 100% banned right now. Bleh. Why is it not showing me this? Show me the pick ban. Okay, so Vara, Ziggs, Xinjiao, Kalista, and LeBlanc. Yeah, so Kalista and LeBlanc, by the way, have been perma-banned. They've been banned 100% of the time. Xinjiao's been banned 87%, and Ziggs has been banned 75%. So, ban rate's pretty high for those champions. I'll give you the top 5 here. Olaf, Ziggs, Xinjiao, LeBlanc, and Kalista. Those are the top bans. And Kalista and LeBlanc have specifically been banned every single game. So, don't think we're going to see either of those champions, to be honest with you. But those are 2 champions that we're good at, so maybe that means that TL has to waste bans on them. Yay. Thanks, guys. That'd be great. It does look like Braum is back, by the way, like in a big way. He's been played pretty significantly, more so than, even Nautilus now. Not more so than Leona, I don't think. I'd have to check. Yeah, Braum's been played more than Leona, but it seems like he's back, man. People are really digging those slows right now. So again, another reason why you did an Ashe Braum bot lane. Oh baby, that would be awesome. I'd love that. I'd be a very happy boy. Shen Support came out as well from TL. Love it. Love Shen in general. Wouldn't be upset to see Shen top lane potentially, but would be even less upset to see it in the bot lane. Because does that mean that we could see a Galio? That one's not obligatory, by the way. I do feel like Galio could be something that could be seen. A lot of team fighting, a lot of, need for CC, with a lot of dive and everything else that's in the meta right now. I still don't get why he's not getting played more by everybody. I guess they just really like the engaged supports from Leona, but regardless, Shen Support did come out. He's pretty strong, man, in general, and I love seeing him in professional play. I think he adds a very interesting dimension to the game, and we've already seen that Huni can play Shen very well this season, so would love to see it. Sorry to drop like 20 champions on you guys, but there's a lot right now in the meta that's going on that's very intriguing to watch as of the first weekend of playoffs. So this meta will continue to evolve and really get drilled down. And so as we move on, hopefully we will be able to drill it down ourselves and push our way into Worlds and hopefully further. Here are a couple keys to the game. I'm going to run through these as quickly as I possibly can. TL are likely going to try to play through Alfari. I say let them, and let's show them our ability to focus on all lanes. Spika's been able to do it before. He picks a lane. We're going to win through top lane. Cool. Team plays through it. Oh, we're going to try to win through bot lane. Cool. Team does it. We're going to try to win through mid lane and dragon control. Cool. They do it. I think that's what gives us the advantage. If they want to try to play through Alfari, fine. Let Huni soak up, all the damage. It doesn't really matter because we've seen him get behind before. TSM find good ways to get him back into games. And Lost and Power V will normally benefit pretty substantially. And if it's not them, then Spika will steal kills and make it so that he's very advantaged. I'm not worried about them trying to play through Alfari, and I think they kind of know that. We've shown that multiple times that we don't care. Huni's able to hang with Alfari pretty substantially, or pretty easily, I should say. I think if you ban GP, I think it just makes Huni's job 10 times easier against Alfari. I think that's the only champion I'm really afraid of. So, yeah. Early ganks onto mid lane are super common for TL. They did this like 2 or 3 times in that series against Cloud9. I know that we did it against Perks too. He is not great at paying attention, it would seem, right now, or is distracted. I don't know what it is, but he was gankable. Power of Evil can be. I would love for TSM to debate the crap out of Santorin and Jensen and just have Sword Art and Spika, waiting over a wall or waiting in a different bush, prepared for them to dive his overextension and then just hop on them, double kill, and get us in a very nice and comfortable lead early on, especially if Sword Art doesn't accidentally steal the kills. So I think we got to wait for that, and it was something that they do. Let's just prepare for it. This one's a biggie. Do not, and I mean do not, just sit back and let them dictate the pace of the game. Guys, pace of the game is so important right now in the game, in League of Legends. It is so unbelievably important. And so, I would prefer that we control it from game one. Like, be aggressive, be willing to take plays, be willing to take some chances, be willing to take some 50-50s. It doesn't always have to be 75%, success plays. Like, especially early on in the series, like, just make some aggressive plays. Like, put TL on their back foot. That's when they are most vulnerable. And it's how C9 won. They also lost because of it, but that's because they were so freaking uncoordinated. They'd have like 2 players trying to make a dive while the other 2 are farming. It's just like constantly and then they were super reactionary after they'd try like 1 or 2 aggressive plays. Poor Blabber is going to get blamed all the time because he's actually trying to go and make plays, but the rest of his team's just off in La La Land, screwing around. And same with Fudge, dude. Ugh, if I'm those 2, I am frustrated. Specifically, at Perks and Sven, if you ask me. But either way, I want to see us dictate the control, the pace of the game. Grab towers when we want to. Be willing to give up objectives, trade and push in, have Sword Art roaming around the map, have him matching Core JJ. Those are going to be things that I really want to see out of us. We got to remember, too, losing 1 or 2 games is not the end of the world. We need to show that mental fortitude. That's the only way you win these series, right? It's just, stay zen, understand, hey, okay, we had 1 bad game. Let's not turn it into 2 bad games, right? Or, hey, we've had 2 bad games. Let's not turn it into a series loss, right? Let's make that epic comeback. That's what won us LCS last year. At this time, Bjergsen and Doublelift's ability to be unwavered and control the game still and win. And Broken Blade, God, he was so good in playoffs last year. I think Huni can be very similar in that way. And I think as long as the mental is still there, and luckily that's why I think having Bjergsen as the coach has been crucial, personally, because I think that he, even if they lose game 1, I think he's going to be like, okay, let's take a deep breath, let's reset, we know that we're better than them, let's do this, okay? Here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to solve these problems, bam. I think that's what's great about him. I think that's what's great about him as a coach. So, yeah, would be very happy to see that happen. The other thing here is Team Liquid seemed very willing to give up Drakes for lane advantages. Similarly to the whole Alfari thing, let them do that. We're better than C9. I'm just straight up. We are better than C9, and we're not going to give up as much, right? Like, oh, they're going to triple gank top lane. Cool, whatever. We'll take Drake, and Spika's going to head into the mid or bot lane, either get a kill or push them off their tower and get plates, right? Like, and if we have 2 Drakes early, I think TL are going to be in a huge heap of trouble because they're going to have to fight a Drake. We're very willing to give up 3rd and even 4th Drake to get the advantages back in the lane. And next thing you know, we're up. We're up by 4K gold, and they had to fight 2 of us, at Drake. So whatever. I don't want to see any Rift Herald blunders, please, guys. But which TL controlled, I think, almost all Rift Heralds in that series, by the way, felt like. So I want to see us I want to see us, win through Drakes, man. It's such a great insurance policy. Why not do it? Even if it is Cloud Drake, who cares? There are plenty of champions that can use the speed boost and the ultimate cooldown. Just do it. Do it. Give Huni one game to carry, and I'm really wanting them to do it in game 1, because I think that when we enable Huni and we show that we can play through him, and really establish that as a potential threat, I think that really can throw off TL in any team. If we go into game 1 and we just shut down Alfari, potentially to the detriment of Lost, whatever, I think we have a pretty good chance of winning. I mean, sure, he can come back, but if he's not on something like the Gangplank, I don't think it matters. And yeah, he could bring out the Kennen. Cool. Bring it out. We'll play Jace or something else where we can just kind of push him out of the fight and it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just true. Like, I feel like TSM I'm knocking on wood on this one. I feel like we're built pretty well in terms of like the way we've been playing all year to counter a lot of the strengths of the better teams, which is probably why we've struggled against some of the lower teams. And I think, being able to play through Huni allows us to do so many things and allows us, that'd be perfect. If we're playing through Huni and then we bring out the Ziggs for Lost, great. That gives us such a huge advantage because, again, Lost can, he gave up tower. Oh, whatever. Cool, he's just going to sit there and farm forever. I mean, dude, it's not an ungankable lane. Obviously, they can 3v1 him, but even a 2v1 is pretty risky on a Ziggs. I mean, he can just, basically blast cone, out, one of the members pretty quickly and just drop a slow. Next thing you know, they're just eating tower shots in a Ziggs Q, maybe an R if he's level 6, and they 80 carries dead. So, and even in the late game, this tower is very near dead. Cool. Press W. Bam. Dead. I don't know how else to say it. I think that give Huni one game to carry. I prefer it to be game 1 because if it doesn't work, then cool. We still got at hopefully a minimum 3 games left where we win all of them. And we realize, hey, that's not the way we want to do it. Already talked about this one. Not going to spend much time on it. Split the map. Split it up. Get some of those global ults. Not Talia, though. No Talia. Never Talia. Ever again. No. Play comfort champions, dude. I think it's pretty simple. Cloud9 tried to be cheeky. They got punished for it. They brought out some stuff that I don't think Perks was uber comfortable on. And I think it hurt them. I especially, if you get down a game, just go comfort. Who cares? If we have to win a late game team fight to win a game, that works for me. That's cool. I like when we bring out new things. I really do. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. But, if we're going to do it, then do it early on. Hopefully win that game. If you lose it, then just go right back to comfort. Guys, we can be and normally are better than this team, even with Santorin. I really think Spring was a fluke of just this team having a mental breakdown. They just did not play very well. They just, for some reason, forgot all the things that they had worked on. I don't see that happening now. They're the only team in the top 5 that did not make a single change from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. They know each other. They trust each other. They are friends. And that leads me into the last thing. Use the power of friendship. I'm very serious. I know that it's a meme. I know it's a joke. Ha 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 ha. Power of friendship wins games. For this team, it does. These guys trust each other. They believe in each other. They want to win together. They want to go to Worlds as this roster. They want to win a championship as this roster. Power of Evil wants his first ever championship. Lost wants his first ever championship. Huni wants to be the only person ever to have a championship in 3 different major regions. Sword Art wants to show, that the money wasn't a joke, and Spika wants to prove that he deserves the MVP. These guys have a lot to play for, and they have a lot to play for each other. And it's for that reason that I think that I think that the power friendship could seriously push them over the edge. Sure, I'm sure TL really like each other. That's great. Whatever. They've had a lot of issues. A lot of issues. They have a new coach still. He's still young in terms of, being a head coach. Alfari's been gone. Santorin's been gone. Power friendship, just and what that really translates to is the power of being comfortable with each other. The power of knowing what your teammate is going to do before they do it. Right? The power of being connected at a like they could basically just not talk for an entire game and still probably understand what most of them are going to do. I'm not suggesting that. We've seen that they've struggled with that. But I think if neither team was allowed to say anything, I think TSM would be able to predict the movements of their, of each other more than TL could. So, yeah, I think power friendship is going to be important. The power to play together, to be a cohesive unit is going to be important. And then lastly, this is my bonus one. And I say this to any TSM member who is listening. I say this to any TSM fan. I say this to myself even, we have to remember we're one series away from Worlds. That was the goal. Championships are cool. Yes, we definitely want another one. Don't get me wrong. But what we want most of all is to go to Worlds. And if we win this series, we go to Worlds. Let's get there now. And then let's take the pressure off. Right? We can play a little bit more loose. Because for us, it's not like 100 Thieves or EG who are trying to win a championship, who really want that, right? We want Worlds. Anything else is just icing on the cake. Now, obviously, I would prefer us to be top 2. I do want that to be very, very clear. Having to play, play-ins or whatever, I forget exactly what we have to do is if we were the 3rd seed, is not ideal. But let's just get to Worlds and we'll deal with the rest of it after that. That's what we've been playing for. That was what this team was built for. That was what the ultimate goal was. You notice after spring playoffs, sure, they're upset. But Bjergsen made it clear, we're bringing this roster back. We are going to go to Worlds. That's what we want. That's what you want. That's what I want. Last year was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for Bjerg, for Doublelift, for the whole team. It was embarrassing as fans. I'm tired of hearing, oh, you guys went 0-6 at Worlds, blah, 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 blah. Screw that, dude. Let's go to Worlds and deal with the rest of it later. Let's have our chance at redemption. Please, God, let us have our chance at redemption. Ugh. Here's my final prediction, and then I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes of why. I have this being a very close series. I have it being a 3-2. And I do have it being in favor of us. I truly believe that we are the most interconnected, well-oiled machine in the LCS right now. I believe that we can play multiple styles. I believe that we have the MVP of the entire league on our team. And I believe that when it comes down to it, our macro game will be superior. Because, holy mother of God, we are one of the best macro teams I've ever seen. From day one. I mean, again, FlyQuest game 1, we had them down 6 towers before they even got to sniff anything. And the only reason we threw was because the team didn't know how to play together yet. They didn't know how to end. They didn't know what to do. This team doesn't do that anymore. This team understands their objectives. They know how to go in and win games. They trust each other. There is a bond that they have built, and that is stronger than skill, guys. It is not always the team with the most talent that wins championships. It is often the team that understands their objectives and knows how to take them. I'm talking about in any sport. If you look at most sports and esports of teams that have won championships, it's not about who has the most talent. It is about who understands the team the most, who understands how do we win, what do we need to do to win. Sure, talent has to be there for that. But the final factor, the last thing that pushes people over the edge is that cohesiveness. And we've spent 6 long months of creating it. And now we're ready. This is our time. And I think we're going to win 3-2. You can argue differently. You can say, oh, they're going to 3-0. Oh, no, they're going to lose to TL. Sure, they could lose. But I'm not putting that caveat in there. I'm confident that this team is going to be prepared. I'm confident that they are going to come in. They might have a little jitters. But hey, man, we like playing at home. We like not playing on stage. But the funny thing is, we also like playing on stage. So we've shown both. And I know that, yeah, we're probably going to be on stage. You know, we just don't know. The reason I say, like, well, we could play at home if we need to, like, with everything that's going on with COVID, there's a chance they could just send everybody home, too. And just have the finals like they did in the spring, where that's finally on stage. And then everybody's playing from home. Or, you know, they're from their facility. But I think it's likely going to still be on stage by the time we get to Sunday. And I think that TSM are going to come out ready to rumble. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode. Also, thank you for continuing to support this podcast on all podcasting platforms. You know, always reach out if there are any things that you would like for me to do differently, or if things aren't showing up on, you know, the right podcasting page, all that jazz. Please share this with your friends. You can find me on Twitter at TGHRobertHaynes. You can also find the Gamehouse on Twitter at TGH Esports. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. We've got a lot of great esports and sports content there. Should definitely, you know, tickle your fancy, depending on what you want. With that, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying with me after a week-long break. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to watch some League of Legends all weekend. As a reminder, this show comes out every Monday and Thursday, and is still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. Let's go TSM. Let's do this. I'll see you all on Monday.